how I approach teaching contact improvisation changes on the context a lot. Lately I like to look at the jam as the place where most of contact improvisation is practiced today in jams. And I see what are the habits and what I ask myself, what would I say to the people that I'm looking at right now? If this was a class, what would I say to them? What is the thing that I think could, and then here I have many questions that I keep answering. Some of them I asked to you when I was teaching. Why do people practice contact improvisation? What do they do when they say they practice? What are they actually doing when they say they're practicing contact improvisation? What are they aware of and what not? Is history important for someone who starts working with contact improvisation today? Is it important to know where it comes from and all these other things, or has it developed so much that there are more urgent things to be answered? So it's not easy to decide. Given that I don't know the answers to those questions for each person that I'll be teaching, it's hard to decide what I'm going to teach, and yet that also makes me release in the, I have no idea if they'll be interested in this, but that's what I think would be interesting for them. Then also I realized that I go from the situation of a jam these days because I've had experiences where I taught a workshop and I gave all these tools and exercises, and people were performing them beautifully, doing them beautifully. Then we jammed in the end and it was a mess because suddenly your partner doesn't know the choreography. They don't know the exercise that you're supposed to do together. So I find this real situation where you're dancing with someone who is coming from another culture, another background, another teacher, another wish, and then there another weight, and you just have this very loose term, loose because people don't read Contact Quarterly, because they haven't, because they haven't done the work of deciding maybe what contact improvisation is and isn't. And then you have them dancing together. How can you work with that? How can you work with that chaos and richness of approach? So the tools I give are survival tools for that. And it's either survival or stuff that could be of interest that is already happening. Another thing that I'd like to say is that for me, contact improvisation is part of the field of improvisation. So even people very often focus a lot on the first word because it's so much easier than the second one. Contact or touch. By the way, it's not touch, it's contact, because touch can be done without an exchange of weight, but to have real contact, there needs to be some kind of relation established through weight, I believe. That's not true what I said, but it's true that in contact improvisation, weight is essential. I think if there's no exchange of weight, we can't be talking of, or focus on that, we can't be talking of contact. But improvisation being the second word, I could give a different definition of improvisation every day of my life. So that makes the field even bigger. What is it? I like to teach, or I like to give different angles of all that could be, and then give tools of how these different universes could meet. So listening to myself, as I would do when I'm dancing with another person. I'm dancing and I'm also listening, and then I respond to what I'm hearing. Listening to myself, I would say it's definitely a research field for me. Contact itself, but also teaching it, because as in a contact duet, I make a proposition but then I see the response of the group, and I respond to that, and I find other ways to bring to communicate the material, to communicate what I'm interested in, and I'm inspired by what they do to learn other things that I communicate. So it's a cliche, but it's also a dance.